never seen it. You never seen it.
I already made a review on Persona 5, but frankly that video was way too short and kind of ass, so here's a proper review and discussion of one of the best games I've ever played. In case you didn't see my last video, to sum it up pretty quickly, Persona 5 is the first Persona game I really had the chance to play. I had Persona 3 FES on my PS2, but never got to beat it as my PS2 died pretty early in. So now, 10 years later, I've properly played my first Persona with Persona 5. I love JRPGs, but I got to this so late because of financial reasons. I am kind of mad I wasn't able to experience this at release when most people played this, but I'm glad I experienced this nonetheless. So, when I started up Persona 5, I didn't know what to think. The beginning of the game is very slow and kind of confusing. It takes a while until you're able to actually partake in the actual game part, but once it hits, it sticks to you like cornbread to your ribs. Persona 5 is a game that once you get a taste of, it will have you ensnared and addicted to its savory juices. This is highly due to its story and its pacing, that while addicting can also be frustrating. Persona sets you in a calendar year, and most actions take up time in your day, and most of the time you're given a deadline, so you're constantly making choices of how you want to spend your time. One of my friends to be able to hang out today, but I also want to increase my knowledge that by studying. I always spent more time than I meant to in Persona 5, all because I was eager to spend time with one friend to see what ability I will unlock when I rank him or her up, or because I want to see what happens next in the story. Socializing and doing activities is a big part of the game, and these tests also support the combat when you're exploring dungeons, so ignoring these will just make the game a lot harder for you. P5 also has a story that pulls you in and make you feel like you're in the world. I genuinely felt irritated with characters' compassion for others and hate for others. The combat is also quite engaging. It is a classic turn-based combat that modern JRPGs seem to be steering away from, but it's still fun for me. Unlike most RPGs, elemental texts have real importance to them. Most of my JRPG experience has been with Final Fantasy. I got like a few others in there, but in Final Fantasy, elements and text is not that important most of the time. Just in Final Fantasy X is the only time I felt like they were had more weight to them, but still it isn't compared to this game. So in Persona 5, it's actually a crucial element to this to the battle system. Hitting an enemy's weakness will knock them down to the floor, and when all the enemies on the screen are down, you're allowed to perform a hold-up, allowing you one of 4 options. Take the enemy as persona, get additional money for them in exchange for not getting any experience points or less experience points, I can't remember, or get an item, and lastly, the one you probably use most of the time is perform an all-out attack, which will usually kill all the enemies on screen. In addition, when enemies are inflicted with a status ailment, certain elemental attacks will do more damage but not cause them to be knocked down. These rules apply to the party as well, so you have to watch out for enemy attacks and keep up with your own weaknesses. This focus on elements makes for a refreshing battle system, and it's not as important and encompassing to the gameplay like how elements and weaknesses are in Pokemon, but this battle system is legit. To sum it up in a non-spoiler sense, I love this game and you should definitely buy it. Persona 5 Royal will be releasing in March, but I feel like you should still buy this version as there are a lot of changes in Royal that will make it feel like a different game, so get both. Now let's get into spoilers, because this game is too good in detail without talking about spoilers. So, Persona 5 is huge, like freaking huge. It took me 111 hours for me to beat on my first playthrough, and almost as long for my second, despite not having to grind my social stats like I did the first time around. there is so much content in this game, and that it takes a minute or two playthroughs to see everything. And I still didn't even see everything on my second playthrough. I missed out on I know I missed out on 2 locations and a comfort on my first playthrough. And then on my second playthrough, I missed a couple of personas and like a whole entire set of items I didn't even know about on my second run. But let me rewind to the beginning of the game. Oh, because man, that's the introduction to this game, man. So Kamoshida is one of the biggest pieces of shit I've ever seen in video games. When I fought his shadow for the first time and that music kicked in, I was so ready in this motherfucker. Like, yo, no palace ruler compared to him. And I was honestly kind of disappointed afterwards. When Madarame came, I didn't get a sense that he was that bad of a person. Well, not until like the end, when he revealed that he watched Yusuke's mother die without doing shit, and then stole her painting. But that was like only his shadow, and it was like a little too late by then, really. With Kamoshida, they game from the jump let you know that the guy was bad, and they slowly built him up. Like, they really built him up. The first time you saw him was after Sajiro took you to the school for the first time, and even then, you know, this guy was kind of a piece of shit about how he talked about how they let somebody like you into the school and all that. And afterwards, he spoke to Kawakami about being bad, they had to let you in. And when you meet him as the player character for the first time, it's him giving a ride to Anne to school. He offers you a ride too, but he asked knowing that you will probably decline. Let's be honest. He had no intention of giving you a ride anyway. The first scene was very uncomfortable. Without knowing shit about the game, a lot of stuff was going through my head. Like, yo, is this teacher fucking the student? Like, that was my first thought, man. I instantly thought he was fucking her. Once you get to the school, people are talking behind Anne's back, calling her Kamoshida's bitch and stuff. It's like, yo, I'm starting getting uncomfortable right now. It's like, this game is kind of crazy, man. And the game only got crazy from there. So you also meet Ryuji right there at the spot, and once we go in his palace and re-enter it, we find out just how fucked up this guy is. Like, he's abusing the students, physically abusing his athletes on the volleyball team. And he also fucked up Ryuji pretty bad when it was like the previous school year. He said some shit about Ryuji's parents, and then he provoked him knowing he would hit him. And so in that case, he broke Ryuji's leg and disbanded the track team on some petty shit from a grown ass man. Nah, bro. Speaking of which, in my first playthrough, I was very reluctant in the dialogue choices not to go back in the palace. I was like, yo, man, we almost got our asses killed in there. Why would you want to go back there? But yeah, this is another thing about this game. It really gets you invested and makes you feel like the character. Having these dialogue choices really helps with that too. But anyway, going back to the palace, we discover that he's been abusing athletes, and it also implied he molested some of these girls. Thankfully, later on, we get the chance to talk to Ann, because the school made it seem like she's dating him like on a consensual basis. It's still wrong in this consensual, because she's a fucking high school student and you're a teacher. But once we confront Ann and get to talk to her, I think you chase through the subway and all that. Oh yeah, first time going through the game, traveling to school on the subway system I got lost a little bit, man, but fortunately for the rest of the game, you get this quick travel on to deal with. But once you chase down Ann and talk to her in the Big Bang Burger, I think, she reveals that he was actually forcing her into having relations with her, which she declined, of course, because she was uncomfortable with it, but he was forcing her trying to sleep with her because he was blackmailing her, like, if you don't do this for me, I would leave Shiho, her best friend, on the bench on the volleyball team. Oh, so Ann declining that made him, since Ann declined him, he brought Shiho into his office and basically beat and raped her just because Ann turned her down, which caused Shiho to, oh man, that was the first shocking moment of the game right there, man. When you were sitting in the classroom and hear, yo, she's going to jump. Like I knew it was Shiho, man. And you see that, and she jumped off the roof. Oh man, this man caused a girl to attempt suicide. Like at that point of the game, I was like, fuck it. If he does, he does. Morgana warned us earlier that messing in a guy's palace and changing his heart, there's a risk of actually killing him. I was like, yo, fuck this dude at this point, man. I don't care. Somebody almost died because of him. He has to be stopped at this point, man. If he does, he does. Especially after you go up into his classroom and then talk to him. He's like, who was that girl? I forget her name. That jumped. Oh, we just called. Got a call from the hospital saying she's in a coma. So how can somebody like that make a statement? Like his ego was off the roof, man. He didn't give a fuck. At that point, I ain't give a fuck about his life either. Ooh, I wouldn't. This game really does a good job of making you hate Kamoshida, man. Oh. And then earlier when you're trying to investigate the volleyball team, you find out that almost like everybody in the whole school knew he was doing this shit. Nobody said anything to him. Like the principal knew, of course a lot of the students knew, and then the parents knew, which is kind of hard for me to believe right there with the parents knowing. Because I just know for me, if my mother, any of my family members knew that a teacher was putting their hands on me, they would be up at the school causing a motherfucking scene. Like, they might even beat the teacher's ass themselves. That's just the little NC problem I had with that. But all the rest of the shit I sort of believe because everybody admired him. He was a gold medalist. So people were really kissing ass to him or whatnot and think he could do no wrong. But yo, the fucking principal is scum too, knowing the shit was going on and he didn't do shit. Don't matter how good he makes the volleyball team or whatnot. He beating kids and molesting girls. Like, yo, fire his ass. Pour his ass to the cops too, man. Principal, in addition, I forget about the principal later on too, when he makes Makoto investigate about the phantom thieves in the school. That's also some trifling fuck shit. We should have changed his heart too, because you're a grown-ass man making a student doing your work for you, basically. Like, get out of here. And when she asked him about if he knew about what the stuff that Kamoshida did, and he was like, what good will come out of asking that question? What's the point of it? That response right there just is to let you know he did definitely know, man. He was just deflecting the question without having to admit it. Principal was shit though. Didn't really feel bad for him when he died either. Man, Kamoshida is really scum, man. The game really built up to him, man, and back to Ryuji too, man. What kind of grown-ass man would talk to a student about their parents like that and then proceed to beat them up so bad that you break their leg? Come on. But yo, so Alice, they did a wonderful job of building up to him, man, because it's just a shame that none of the other palace rulers really had that same kind of impact. They all were kind of shitty people, mostly. I wouldn't say Sei was, but you never really even stole her heart anyway. I don't think. I know the game said once it was revealed how y'all got away, that the suitcase that I think that Joker had was actually a fake. Like it was empty inside, but they didn't reveal that. Maybe one of the other team members maybe had her real treasure. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think you actually saw her treasure, because I don't remember there was any point in time in the game where she was like off screen and just locked up in a room like everybody else does when they get a change of heart. But yeah, all these other characters, they were like shitty too, but you didn't feel the same impact because it was like there's no personal connection or build up to it. Kanashiro, I felt like they could have really done good with. Oh yeah, Makoto. Makoto did some dumb shit in the story progression for there though. Like when we was trying to investigate and found out how to get to Kanashiro himself. I think one of his goons came up to us trying to ask us for a job, but Makoto, oh my gosh, she has like no street sense at all. She was real obvious with her shit, man. I don't remember the word she said, but it was like, yo, you giving yourself away here. That's why he walked off. And of course, later on, when you hear her talk to these guys and demand her to take him to Kanashiro, that was just fucking dumb right there, man. That was the dumbest ass part. But there could have been some build up to that as well. All we got was a little bit of a talking to a student at the school and found out he was into debt with Kanashiro. It was just a little sprinkle. We need a little bit more. I think they probably could have did it a little bit better by having Makoto try and get into this herself. Like, but we had no idea that she was going off by herself. Like, so she got caught up in it. Instead of us going and following her there, we were just unaware. And then we found her like sometime later, maybe let's say a few days later, or a week later, or something like that. And she's about to go and be a prostitute in Shinjuku, I think it was. That's the red light district of the game. And we stop her before she makes a bad mistake in this, and I think that would be like a lot better build up. We stop her, and then we have her lead us to Kanashiro, so we could actually finally make enter his palace in investigation cases that we never killed anybody prior to him. So why would we kill him or like kill Akuma? He never killed anybody prior to that. But yeah, I actually wondered like how would the story go if we had decided to kill him. I wonder what we had thought of and continued going on this Phantom phase. But yeah, aside from that, I didn't really feel any of the other palace rules except for Futaba. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about Futaba. It's just because everybody else was sort of a villain except for her. But so with Futaba, her story is so sad, man. Her introduction was something else. First you get called out by Majed, and then you get an anonymous text. Your first instinct is to think that this is Majed fucking with you. And you immediately panic, start to think, how in the world did they find out who I am? The text is from Alibaba, put this anxiety in you, because you weren't sure what was going to happen next until Makoto pointed out that Alibaba was somebody who lives by you. Find out about how Futaba's mother died, and seeing the anguish she went through in her palace, through the puzzles and her hallucinations, made you really feel for her. And after I was done with her palace, I was like, shit, we just cured her depression. Excuse me, her depression. The Phantom Thieves cannot only just get criminals confess their crimes, but shit, we could cure people's mental illnesses, really. As Morgana has said, palaces emerge from people with disordered hearts. That doesn't necessarily mean bad people. It just turns out that most of these people with disordered hearts and desires happen to be bad people. Phantom Thieves can not only just change people's lives by having criminals turn themselves in, it can also just make people happier who are suffering from depression and stuff like that. That should be a little, it would have been dope to see it just do a little bit more of that, like maybe a couple of memento side quests, just to show that the Phantom Thieves could do more than just take down criminals. The other palace rules, save was fine, I think. Monorami I already touched upon. Who else was there? Akumura. Akumura was okay. I'm still not sure why his palace was outer space. It didn't even really fit in with the Phantom Thief locations either, because all the locations are like somewhere that thieves would come potentially steal, like a castle for the olden times, a museum, of course, a bank, like bank robbers, and a ship, as in pirates, a casino. But outer space, I don't really fit unless we're talking about space pirates. Like I think there's a couple of animes. Is Cowboy Bebop about space pirates? I think so. But it didn't really feel, it just felt out of place compared to everything else. And then we had Shido. Shido should have hit a lot harder than he did, considering it was built up for him, and he was the guy that we knew set up the main protagonist, like at the beginning, who put him in basically gave him a criminal record. But the build-up wasn't really that proper. He was the one that set us up, who gave us put us on a probation, basically gave us a criminal record. He was also the guy behind the mental shutdown cases too, and he was the catchy's dad. Those are all good reasons to hate him, but I just got like a slight from him, nowhere near like I had with Kamoshida. I'm not sure what I would have changed there, but Rivers in the Desert is some hype shit. Also with Shido, I didn't really like how they tied him to both Kaneshiro and Madarame. It made sense with Kaneshiro since he already had a Yakuza guy working for him, but having him tied to Madarame was just unnecessary to me. I love this game so much, man. The characters in this game were mostly great, but by the end of the game, I felt like this is the fucking squad. I didn't really care for Yusuke on my first playthrough. He was just kind of fucking weird. And I still don't care for Haru either, even on my second playthrough, but as a collective unit, we were boss. I heard somewhere on YouTube that Hifumi was going to be a Phantom Thief, but they cut her off from that, but I much would have preferred her over Haru. Haru's voice is it's bad to me, and she's just sort of boring. I wonder what Hifumi would have been like, and I wonder what her weapon and gun would have been. I can imagine her having like the chain and ball that Go-Go had in Kill Bill. I'm not sure about her gun though. And with Yusuke, I just felt like he was a weird ass character. I don't know why it seemed like in media they like to make artists weird, but Yusuke was weird, and I don't buy that he ain't had no sexual intentions with An. It was just a weird introduction to him too. He was stalking on in the on the metro system, and then the first thing he wants to ask her is to come to the museum show, and then ask her to model for him nude. Like, yo, man, this is some weird shit. And then of course, I almost forgot, but when he have a place to stay in no longer, his first thing was to ask to live with An. Come on, bro. And you still telling me that you had no sexual relationship intentions with her? Okay. Makoto, I liked her. Actually, she is the best voice actor out of any of the characters in the game, in my opinion. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna be sort of jumping everywhere, but the SIU director, his voice sounded mad familiar. I think he was somebody in Samurai Champloo. Actually, I could have done without the SIU director saying, like, during the beginning of the game, him explaining the plot and it just felt like evil mustache twirl and shit. They could have just cut out those scenes, in my opinion. We ain't need that shit. Not until like it was revealed that Makoto was put in charge of the investigation by him. But oh yeah, back to the characters though. So Makoto, I like, but she is really a cool character, and I like her voice acting. I just didn't. Once I was given the option to her my second playthrough to date her, I didn't feel like I had that much connection with her like I did when I chose Ann the first round. Ann I really liked too. Actually, she was the first girl I had chosen to be in the relationship with in the game. It just felt really natural to me. I really like Ann. She's not a stereotypical blonde like the game could have easily made her out to be. Only the typical thing they made about her is that she's a model. But other than that, I can't really describe her personality, but it's not typical. The stereotypical blondie act is what you saw of her in Kamoshida's palace. But you know, you really get to feel connected to Ann. This felt really natural. And once you actually talk to her and get to see Shiho again, and talk to her on the roof, and then puts her arms around you and says, "I love you," it's like I felt that myself, man. This was the girl. I just didn't feel like that at all with Makoto. I didn't really like her confidant, like her confidant rankings. It was mostly about her, helping her friend get out of a relationship with a guy that was using her and potentially putting her into sex trafficking, which was Kaneshiro was doing with a lot of these students, making them go into debt and stuff. That guy was probably working for Kaneshiro, the truth be told. Futaba, after she got her heart changed, actually, she was mostly annoyed after she got her heart changed. I'm glad we helped her and all, but girl, like, I'm a nerd too, but I don't have to be making those video game references like all the time. That shit was getting annoying. I was sort of thinking about building a relationship with her. On my second playthrough, I was trying to get everybody, but even the second playthrough, I feel like this game still doesn't give you enough time to rank up everybody. I had all my social stats maxed out like by the time I ended Monarame's palace, but still it still felt like I had barely any time to had enough time to rank up everybody. Futaba, yeah, she's too much of a nerd for me, and it felt more like she was a little sister than a potential person I could date. And I think it just felt weird. And then Sajiro said, "Do me a favor and not get into a relationship with Futaba." It just felt weird you calling me dad. I was still aiming for it though, but when Roll comes out, I think I'll do it. I actually was surprised to see how so many people online liked Futaba, like in that kind of way. It felt weird to me. What also felt weird to me is the option to date Kawakami, considering she's a teacher, and then, you know, the shit with Kamoshida. It was just a weird choice to have in the game, considering that. But I still did it anyway, because as a grown man, I always wanted, there was a couple of teachers in my time that I wanted to have sex with, so I was living through that with the game. Kawakami as a person though, she was so-so, I think. I also felt bad that I just sort of cheated on with dating Tay Takemi. Like, yo, Takemi's like the baddest girl in there, man. A punk rock doctor, like, yo, she's fine to boot, man. The Fumi's pretty good looking too, though. It did make me feel like shit. Like after the night I kissed on, I was debating, like, would it be wrong to call Kawakami for a maid service after I just did that? I ended up not doing it though. Ugh. Oh yeah, I also forget to talk about Ryuji. Like I really liked him in the beginning, but as the game went on, he started annoying my ass. His ass is way too loud talking. That's how we got caught by Makoto. His loud ass talking about being a phantom thief and shit. Like, somebody said not to blame her because I got caught on tape too, but fuck. She only caught on tape because Ryuji was loud as fuck. Like, if she didn't hear Ryuji, she wouldn't have hurt. She wouldn't have got on tape too. Like, so that shit was Ryuji's fault. And then at the top of his palace, he caused us to get an unnecessary battle. Like, yo, you need to learn how to chill and calm the fuck down sometimes, Ryuji. It's funny, despite how angry he gets all the time, he is a bit forgiving. Like, I wouldn't forgive those people on the track team, though. I know they were mad at him because he swung on Kamoshida and got the team disbanded, but y'all beef was with Kamoshida, not with him. Kamoshida was the piece of shit. He's the one who provoked him into doing that shit and broke Ryuji's fucking leg. Like, he can't even properly run anymore. Morgana was cool too, but also kind of annoying just because from the fact that he's the one that keeps you from going to sleep most of the time. They're like cutscene events in a game where all you really do is just talk to your friends about the whole day, and afterwards I want to try and do a little bit of something to rank up a social stat or a confidant or something, but nah, he just forces you to go to sleep. That's annoying as shit. Some of the dialogue options I really liked in this game, but the blackest one to me there was an option, I think it was like in a text or something, and one of the replies was just nah. I was like, yo, that was simple, but that was like one of the blackest shits I saw in this whole entire game. I think I dated Hifumi on my second playthrough too. She was a cool character. It was just disappointing to find out that she was not as good as Shogi as she was made out to be. And you actually get like strategy and stuff from her too when you're confidants. Kawakami, for the confidants, she's actually one of the best ones you get. You should max her as soon as you have that chance to, because she saves you a lot of time. She can cook coffee for you, cook curry, do laundry. Also, and if you max, like, get to, I can't think of rank 9 or rank 10, she'll offer special massages, which will allow you to do another action after you spend time on mementos. So that saves you a lot of time. Oya is a fucking useless one. I never maxed her out. I think I got to like rank 4 at the most with her. But for what I remember, all she does is lower palace rankings, like security levels, which is pretty useless because all you have to do is defeat enemies to lower that shit. And I don't really remember. I remember if you play like a normal person, you never actually should ever have a high security level in a palace outside of when it's time to steal the treasure. King, I think I never really got the chance to max out all the way, but having special gun ability seems cool. The weak spot one I never really used that often outside of that one time the game makes you use it for that for the mementos one. All I got to was the Hell Bullet one, and I think when I was trying to max out everybody, I didn't have enough time to. I could see that you could use less bullets for the weak spot one, which I forget the actual name for that shit. But I would have loved to see what other gun abilities I could have gotten. What other confidants were there? Haru has some special shit, sort of like Sajiro's coffee and curry with recovering SP, but I think it's a lot more. I never got the chance to max her out just to see what else I can get. But with Haru's confidant rank, I did get a little bit more into her character, and she's kind of weird too. She had made us go to a cafe that served like animal shit as the coffee. It was like, the fuck is she into? Like, this is some weird ass shit. Um, Tae is also a good one just because she provides all the medicine shit in the game. Iwa never got the chance to max out, but he's essential for having guns and customizing and shit, but I never got to max him out all the way. Yoshida is actually another one that's really necessary to max out all the way because he gives you more money in battles, rare items, and allows you to get personas, like higher level personas too. He's a pretty good ass. Actually, yeah, he could actually break the game for you. He was the reason why I had like over 1,000,000 yen on my first playthrough. I think it was a million. It's like over 100,000 or some shit. Or it might have been 1,000,000. I don't remember. But I had a ton of money by the end of the game, so I was good on my New Game Plus. I know I'm forgetting Chiha. I only got on my second playthrough. I didn't get to her on my first. But it was too late, man. By the end of the game, I found out that she could like read a fortune and have you automatically move up to the next confidant ranking with a confidant. Wish I knew that going in, because she would have been very useful with her trying to max out everybody. I think that's all I have to say about the confidant. Also, on the second playthrough, it feels it's not as good as the first one, of course, because you know everything about the story. But since you most likely have ranked out most of your stats on your first playthrough, the second playthrough, it's just you spend most of your time with confidants, but it gets a little boring and repetitive after a while. Like having to switch between doing social activities, work, and spending time with confidants helps break it up a bit, and it keeps from anything becoming too repetitive. Oh, I haven't touched about the music in this game. Music in the game is like fucking great, man. One of the best soundtracks in a video game ever. And Last Surprise is actually really pumps you up for the battles, and when you hit an all-out attack as soon as the part where she says you never see it coming, oh, it feels so good, man. I get that like on accident on the first palace like a few times, but I try to do it throughout the rest of the game sometimes. It's really hard to try to time it afterwards a bit. You gotta do like some baton passing and just time the attack just right toward to get it, but it feels good when you pull it off. Also in the New Game Plus, you get Caroline and Justine as optional bosses. They're just like way too hard to beat in conventional means. I had to get some online help to try to beat them, and I still couldn't beat them because it was just too much work for me. I had to get a specific persona. You either try to have to level up really high by defeating a Reaper and Mementos, which you fucking forget about in the game because the conditions for getting him is sort of dumb. You gotta sit like for 5 minutes on one specific section of Mementos, or to give him no, not specific section. You have to be like on one floor or something at a time for like 5 minutes, or to give him to show up. And there's really no reason to hang around Mementos like that, considering the floors are very small, and should have made it like for a whole entire like area instead of a floor. That would have been easier for him to show up and have you potentially get some potential danger. Otherwise, it's just like a little hidden secret thing. So yeah, ranking him, beating him up and leveling up that way was a good way of doing it. I tried to do that, but it was just way too hard to beat this enemy, and I heard the easiest way is to take him down during the flu season and just have him come in with despair. Like I tried to do that myself. Like no, I couldn't even do that because I was past the point of the game where flu season wasn't even a thing, so that wasn't even an option for me. So the only option was fusing this one persona, which was a lot of steps to do because I only had like one of the ingredients, so I had to fuse a lot of other things just to fuse him. So I was like, yeah, this is like too much trouble right now. I just want to beat the game, so I just left that alone. Like, I'll try it again on Persona 5 Royal. But oh man, there's so much. There's so much about this game I like, man. It's just the negatives for the game. I guess the pacing, as I mentioned earlier, can be a bit frustrating, just because it could take a while to get to a point where you need to save in the game because of the cutscenes and stuff. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. I wanted to talk about the trip to Hawaii. That was one thing in the game I was disappointed by. The game made it seem like it was like this big exciting thing you had to go into. But once you actually get onto the trip, you see Yusuke, which is pretty cool. He came onto the trip too, but there's not much shit you can do. You only can walk around this little tiny area to talk to a few NPCs, and I think on your second playthrough, well, I guess if you were really good in your first playthrough, but anyway, on my second playthrough, I was able to take Makoto out on a little date, but the game, I'm disappointed the game doesn't have like a bigger area for you to walk around and do stuff in. And I was thinking you was be able to go into shops and pick a souvenir for Futaba and Morgana, but you couldn't even do that. Hopefully in Royal they actually expand that part and actually make it like a little town or something. But that's all I really have to say about Persona 5. Y'all guys, let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. And I'll see y'all next time. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Shawn the Wonder and on Tumblr too. I mostly post on Instagram though. Alright, and also got some shirts for sale on my Redbubble. Links for that will be down below, and I'll see y'all guys next time. Peace.